Welcome back to everyone here at RB's Toy Box. You know, if you're like me, you've been looking for a alternative to the DJI Pocket 3 because, I mean, $700 by the time you buy a few of the accessories with the creator pack. That's a lot of money, especially when you've already spent that kind of good money here on the DJI 2. But you're like me, you're like, I can't, you know, it's so small. So I have been looking and looking for a good alternative or add-on that I can have to my DJI Pocket 2. Well, here comes the Ordro M3, which if you watch any of the reviews out there, you're going to find out it's not all it's cracked up to be. The visuals seem to be okay, but the motor sounds you can actually hear in it. So I was a little skeptical when I got the Ordro M5, and I wanted to get it because it actually has the full gimbal like it does on this one. So today in RB's Toy Box, we're going to be taking a look at this M5 Pocket camera, and we're going to be comparing it to this one and get RB Toy Box's opinion on whether or not this is one you want to add to your repertoire of equipment, or whether it's like, nah, we'll wait. Roll it. Now again, like I said, if you're new to the channel, make sure you're liking and subscribing. Super appreciate that. Watch the video all the way to the end for me, just so we can make sure we get those numbers bumped up. Now, I have to admit, nobody bought this for me. This is not a paid whatever. Matter of fact, there's very little information on YouTube about this little guy, but it comes in a little package here. You get a card reader with it, and you get an actual SD card. They provided the SD card, and like that. And then you also got a cable to go along with it, and a really, really pathetic instruction manual. Matter of fact, the instructions for this are practically, well, they're not practically, they're non-existent. I mean, I messaged the actual manufacturer, and they were like, you know, if you bought it from Amazon, we don't want to talk to you. You have to buy from us, even though it's their official Amazon site. And they refused to give me any information whatsoever. You go looking for an online manual or any, doesn't exist. They have quite a few of their other stuff, but the M3 and the M5, they don't have information for it, so whatever. But it comes, you know, with the little protectors and everything on it. But what intrigued me about this was the screen size, and having something, again, in comparison, you know, when you look at these side by side, this is what you're looking at, you know, about the same thickness. One's obviously a little bit bigger than the other, but you know, it's got a good feel to it. I mean, I really like that, and being able to flip it up like that and be able to use it, that's something that this guy doesn't have, that obviously the 3 does, but again, $679 worth of it. And the DJI 2 doesn't really work for YouTube Shorts because it doesn't have, you got to go through the software and all that stuff just to make it perspective, and honestly, it's a pain. Just, you know, and this having the capability of just, you know, I'm this way, and oh, you want it this way for this YouTube video or this way for shorts, that was very appetizing for me. And then of course having the full, you know, head spinning and everything there on the top of it with the gimbal, and then it comes in a nice case like this. So all in all, presentation wise, not bad. Okay, not bad. Now let's go ahead and power this little guy up. Where is the power button? I done forgot.
Sorry, fellas. I lost my head.
There it is. Ah, I was looking for a red button. Not there. All right, so you do hear a little bit of the, there is some motorized sounds in here, but when I did some test videos before, it wasn't that noticeable. Matter of fact, if you're just doing B-roll or something and you're going to do an overlay of music or something to it, you might not care. But everybody else probably would. It does have a microphone jack over here on the side. I'm not crazy about it being hidden behind the door like that. And that's also where you charge it up, because that means that you're going to have to, you know, bulk this thing up either with a little mount that's on the bottom for your external mic to fit, where, you know, honestly, the DJI comes with it, with the creator kit, similar to the way that I got it with the creator kit on this one. You can see there, it's got the screen and all of that in there. Bring it back here, automatically makes it like this. And that was enough to get me interested. You can see right here, it has very similar gimbal control. It's got good facial recognition as far as, you know, being able to do the tracking. I noticed the tracking was fairly decent and comparable to the DJI. Now, here is the side-by-side. Now, get ready, because we're going to do a side-by-side.
Absolutely, totally, and in all other ways inconceivable.
Now, hopefully these are synchronized well enough together. But one of the first things I want to show you in reference, it's going to be a little bit off, you know, looking at this on the monitor screen, right? Because we're shooting this in the widescreen for YouTube. And the visual, right? So go right up here and around, you'll notice that the DJI 2 has a tighter field of vision, right? So this one much wider, almost fisheye. Now, there's no way that I can find, and again, there's no instructions anywhere, but I pushed every button and toggled everything and gone through all of the everything. There's nothing there to show me where I can do that. I'm using the same lighting front and back on this, and where I wanted you to see this the most is when you compare this to the DJI versus the Ordro. I want you to look at my red shirt and blue overalls, and then some of the colors in the background, and make your own judgment. Remember, is this good enough to compete with visually? Because functionality wise, you know, it's a nice device. It has that larger screen. On the fly, you know, grabbing one of these and being able to take your quick footage and stuff, but being able to see, I didn't like that. And yes, I know you can hook a phone up to the front of it, which I have on my other DJI 2, but, you know, carrying that around to the beach or to a museum or whatever, you know, you got this big, you know, 5-inch phone stuck to the top of it. I just wanted something where it was all inclusive without necessarily the price tag, and that was where I was hoping this one would come into play. So the question for me that I had to answer for myself, and for those of you that are out here watching this, the video quality, is it good enough for your needs? Now, the outside shots, I'm going to be honest, I took this down to the lake and kind of looked around a little bit. It seemed to me just as washed out with outdoor colors, out in the bright sun, not necessarily in studio lighting with LEDs and things of that nature. Now, just so that you can see a little bit better on this one, I'm going to turn off that, just so we've got maybe a better line of comparison. So even with that backlighting turned off, we still have a difference in color perception and how they're actually picking up the images by, again, from here, almost here, you know, look over here at the DJI, you know, it's like totally cutting that off, versus here you got a much wider stance, but it's harder to see this stuff that's right behind you. This is only maybe 3, maybe 4 feet behind me. That's it. It's not very far back there, and as a result, I don't know that you're going to get the best studio shot for it than you are for anything else. Now, I didn't go out there and try to test this with you know, action shots or anything like that. Maybe it does great with that, but there were no settings that I could find where you could adjust exposure other than, you know, the standard frame rate stuff that you see with the 30 and 60 and go all the way up to 5K, which means in post you could definitely do a lot of stuff with it. Now I'm going to turn this one off just so I can show you a couple things more on it. And I'm just going to basically pull that one over here. And let's just go ahead and pause this one, which is right there. And now it takes a little while to get used to going through and figuring out how to get and through the settings. and you kind of click on different things and it pulls up a little on-screen menu, and then you can navigate through those things, and then it has this little arrow so you can go back. The phone, it has a phone app that you can download and put with it. It is horrible. The phone app for this is, I don't want to say it's useless. Okay, I'll say it's useless. It's absolutely useless. And one of the things I couldn't find anywhere that I eventually figured out just by punching a bunch of buttons is I couldn't figure out how to get it to turn around like you do on the DJI, like that. And it's that button in the middle. So if you're Googling looking for it and end up on this channel, that's where it's at. If you double click that, it will spin it around. Double click it again, it'll spin it. Because I mean, I couldn't figure it out anywhere. And there's no videos really on it, except for, you know, just hit the button, let it go all the way around. And it's 180 field of view or whatever, which it's weird because one time you'll take the video and it goes really slow when it pivots around. Like you want to take some nice slow round. Other times it's like, whoop, it just spins right around. I couldn't get any consistency out of it, so it's almost like the motors. And this is fully charged. So, but that's how you do it. You just double click that and it spins it around and finds you on the other side there. But overall impressions, let me just say, I really like the overall package of it. But in my opinion, side by side, I don't know that the camera portion and the color representation and the wide field is good enough to be a replacement for the DJI, or is it good enough necessarily to be an add-on camera over on the side, or even a quick use camera? Because if I make a video, just being honest, and I have this footage and this footage right after, you're going to notice. I mean, there's going to be that much of a color difference between the two systems that if you use both of them, or this and your phone, or this and another device that has a different, you know, color scheme, or however you want to look at it. And again, I've spent 2 to 3 hours just going through settings and trying stuff and trying more settings, and you know, and it just didn't seem to have the color representation that this one had, the DJI 2, which I suspect on the 3 would be just as good. But again, I was looking for a good alternative. But overall presentation, if this baby was the same visual quality as the DJI, or even really, really close in its color representation, I would keep this thing in a heartbeat. I would love it completely because of this great big screen and being able to flip that and do, you know, 16:9 or 9.16. That is a big deal. And for some out there, if this is the only camera that you're using and you're good with the color representation, I think this would be a great camera for you. It was only $280. And on Amazon, there are two. One of them is the cheaper one. The other one is like $30 more. The cheaper one is actually the correct one. Now, I don't know if it was just they goofed up when they sent it to me, but when I bought the more expensive one, they sent me the M3. Now, I don't know if that was a mistake or a misprint on Amazon's part. It was really the M3 and they were representing the M5. But the cheaper of the two, which was like $253, maybe $260, I can't remember. I have to look it up. But it was the cheaper of the two was the one that actually was the M5 that had the, you know, the head and everything on it. So I hope you enjoyed the video here at RB's Toy Box. If you're new to the channel, I do a lot of reviews for toys, antique toys. I have a sizable collection here where I've just collected stuff over the years. I've got Star Trek, I got Star Wars, I got a lot of movie memorabilia type stuff. I have vintage stuff from the 70s and 80s and antique clocks and antique TVs and radios and electronics and stuff. So I hope you might consider liking and subscribing and just checking out the channel and see if I pop up something from time to time that you might like. But for all of my collecting friends out there that maybe were looking for an alternative little camera for going out and doing some quick recording, maybe that's something that you like. Maybe you've seen this video and you've seen something different. Maybe you've got an alternative or option that you can mention down in the comments below. But either way, for my collecting friends, hey, I'll see you soon.
Step into the magic on my fun-filled stage. RV's toy box is great for kids of any age. From Star Trek to A-Team and retro toys too. Come join on my journey, making videos.